It's K-Billy's Super Sounds of the 70s Weekend. Just keeps on trucking. Here's a little ditty about a movie from 1992 by a guy named Quentin Tarantino.
Got the goddamn message?
Reservoir Dogs?
Reservoir Dogs.
Reservoir Dogs. I have no idea what it means.
It's one of the greatest debuts of any filmmaker ever.
I didn't create this situation, I'm dealing with it.
It is the ear-cuttingest movie you will ever watch.
Kind of had like a chapter structure.
Bam! Right in the face.
It was like somebody rolled a grenade into the theater.
I first heard of Quentin Tarantino about 1989, 1990, because he was beginning to become a hot name as a screenwriter. And I remember being struck by the name. I thought, what a great name. It falls off the tongue easily, and it sounds intriguing.
I got a phone call from a friend of mine telling me about a script that she had read, and that the producer asked if I'd be interested in directing it. Quentin and I met, and right off the bat, he said he had just sold True Romance and had enough money that if he had to, he could make the picture with the money he'd made from True Romance. He said that he was going to direct the picture.
He was determined to make it however he could make it. In essence, he would have done it in his backyard for $50,000 or $4,000. He was making the movie. The first thing I noticed was on the cover page it said Reservoir Dogs, written and directed by Quentin Tarantino. So you kind of knew you weren't really going to make this movie without Quentin directing it. And then you read this screenplay that is just sort of bursting with confidence and bursting with originality, and the tone of it and the assertiveness of it was very, very clear, and you felt the hand of a filmmaker.
Among the many pieces of luck that came Tarantino's way is that he hooked up with Lawrence Bender. Bender got Tarantino, really got who he was, got what's in this script, got who this guy was sitting across the table from him. I think every young filmmaker needs that. One of the striking things about Tarantino is he never went to film school. He just managed to do whatever it takes to get a film made, and get a film made professionally.
He worked in a video store, been watching movies since he was a kid, crazy about movies.
Quentin is a cinephile. He knows every movie probably ever made, ever. But only a guy with the brain that he has and the knowledge that he has about movies and the education he has can absorb the coolest of the cool and incorporate it into one film.
Samurai movies, a German sex comedy, spaghetti westerns, Filipino horror film, Sergio Leone, Steve McQueen, Walter Hill, John Sayles, John Sturges, a horse buckled 16mm print.
For all of us working at a video store, to hear that this was a video clerk who was making his first film, and that he was so naked about the fact that he had all these influences that he loved and he wanted to get into the movie, it was almost like permission for the rest of us. I think Quentin was the first guy to say, no, as long as you know movies and as long as you love films, that's enough.
All right, Ramblers, let's get rambling.
Basically, it's a heist film, and it goes horribly, horribly wrong.
My favorite heist film is one that Quentin likes a lot, which is Kubrick's The Killing.
Kubrick was very inventive in terms of time, because he would say 3:52 p.m. and then it goes 3:51. You know, you're going back in time by 1 minute. That was very creative and playful in the 1950s. And what's inventive about Reservoir Dogs is that it jumps immediately from the planning of the robbery to after the robbery. And you have to reconstruct what happened during the heist from the way people are interacting.
We're in the place, everything's going fine. Then the alarm gets tripped.
If you told Reservoir Dogs in a linear fashion, A, B, C, you'd get the same story, but you wouldn't get necessarily the same emphasis on things. He really uses his fractured timeline not just to be clever, but also to underline points and to really pay off character moments.
You had no problem when you were reading a novel where you jump to different people and different characters and different places. And you know they're all going somewhere, and you know they're all going to connect. He just did an amazing job at bringing that, say, a novel style to a film.
Godard had this thing he said, all movies need to have a beginning and a middle and an end, but they don't have to happen in that order. And that's what Tarantino did for American cinema, is he gave that to us.
You knew he was a writer when you read the script. You didn't know if he was a director, but when you went to the set of the film, you knew he was the director.
Quentin's genius is not only the words, it's casting the actors to say the words.
Harvey Keitel was a friend of Lawrence's acting coach.
Harvey was very well known, and I think his attachment to it added a cachet.
If you're through giving me your amateur opinion, slide back and listen to the news.
Harvey's been working continually throughout the decades, working with Scorsese.
I thought you two were a team.
We worked for a little while.
Harvey Keitel very shrewdly made a decision in the late 80s, early 90s that he wanted to work with young, first-time directors.
He probably thinks he's a real cowboy, so you gotta break that son of a bitch in two.
When we started looking for cast, the agents wouldn't return my call because they had never heard of Quentin Tarantino. They couldn't believe the script, which was pretty out there.
Piss on this fucking turd.
Until the script got out on the street. When the actors started reading it, I had people coming in the windows, you know, trying to get in on this movie. Because of Quentin's background in video and working in the store, Quentin knew so many of the actors that would come in. It got to be a running joke because an actor would come in, no matter how obscure he was, he'd go, "Oh my God, Jeff, I saw you in that movie and I loved when you turned around and said this line." And actors would be thrown completely. Putting a cast together that's an ensemble piece is very intuitive, and it's like putting a puzzle together. And when it works, it works. Each of the actors brought a unique piece of themselves to the role.
There was no description of the characters. It just said something like Mr. White, Mr. Pink, Mr. blah, 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 sitting around a coffee table, and then the dialogue begins. The characters were so real and so distinct from one another without even having any of this description.
I've got Madonna's big dick coming out of my left ear.
Mr. White, you feel like he's kind of a good guy?
Excuse me, I didn't realize you had a degree in medicine.
He is the older guy, probably more seasoned, veteran criminal, has a little more elegance, a little suave to him. He's probably married a couple times, and he knows the game.
He was a criminal that wanted to see the good in the world. You know, he wanted to find something good and something redeeming. Throughout all of the horrible things that he's seen and all of the bad things that he's been through in his life, there's something a little bit sweet about him.
He has to fight the instincts of some of the other people.
You know, Harvey delivers. That's the one thing he does. He delivers, and he's committed to his performances.
And my name is Mr. Orange. Mr. Orange? Mr. Orange.
Here you have a character who is pretending to be something that he's not.
They don't know. They don't know shit.
And then it becomes more complicated than that. He's mortally wounded.
Tim Roth is a really good actor. I mean, that's not an easy role to play. And I've been killed many times and laid there in my own blood. And he's making it really believable and just really selling his pain and his agony.
He's painstakingly removed his accent.
I gotta memorize all this? I mean, I didn't even know he was English at the time.
People call me on the phone all the fucking time. He gets one of the best moments in the movie where he's learning the story that he has to use undercover. Such an actor showcase.
He's rehearsing like an actor would rehearse, and to go into this world with these people.
I don't even know what $10 worth looks like.
If your life is on the line, I mean, you are going to act the crap out of that thing.
She had a brick of weed she was selling. She didn't want to go to buy alone.
He must be a master actor.
Just bail, just get the fuck out of there.
You can't win an Oscar, but if you don't win it, you die.
But I think there was a part of him that liked it. There's a part of him that wanted to be cool.